What's up everyone, my name is Zephyr and welcome back to another ProGuides Apex Legends video. One of the most defining features about Apex Legends is the in-game movement. From wall bouncing to tap strafing, over the seasons more and more high-level movement has been discovered. This means that players have to constantly learn new techniques to stay ahead in their games. This is our advanced movement guide for the Season 12 Split 2, showing you all the movement techniques to take your Apex gameplay to the next level. This guide will focus on mouse and keyboard, but do check out our controller guide if that is your input. But before that, our question of the day. Which Apex Legends character do you enjoy playing the most? Let us know in the comments below. Reverse and edge sliding. While many players use the common Apex Legends staple of the slide jump, there are other slightly more advanced ways of sliding that can give you the edge in fights. The reverse slide can help you retreat from an enemy while facing them, and because you're facing them, you can deal damage while also backing up. To reverse slide, jump and move backwards at the same time. But before you land, hit the crouch button. This will automatically put you into a reverse slide. As mentioned, this can be used to move away from an enemy while dealing damage. However, its potential is higher when you use this technique to slide to cover or into a building at the same time. If you were to run or forward slide to that same location, your opponent could deal damage to you and you'd have no visual info on what they're doing. Edge sliding is more about moving as fast as you can. This could be to avoid taking damage, going faster to escape the moving zone, or to invade an enemy team. In Apex, if you slide into the edge of an object, you get a speed boost. This also makes you slightly harder to shoot as your movement is usually less predictable. And of course, this makes you harder to track. Unlike other techniques that we'll cover later, these are very simple to do, which is an advantage. However, more complicated techniques can yield better results. Crouch spamming in Apex is an underrated tactic to help throw off your opponent's aim and help you win your 1v1s. It does have some risks, mainly putting your head into the firing line, but when done properly, it can make the difference. It's simple. When shooting, usually while hip firing, spam crouch while spraying the enemy. The impact of this is your target is suddenly moving in two directions. You have your usual side-to-side strafe that almost everyone does in fights, but now you're also moving up and down, making you harder to track. Fair warning though, this technique is much less effective on the taller and chunkier legends like Gibraltar. Looking to help your movement in Apex Legends? ProGuides has everything you need to supercharge your gameplay to the next level. From detailed in-game knowledge and guides to specialist coaches, whatever you need, we've got you covered. Why not sit down with an Apex Predator and get direct feedback on your gameplay? Perhaps ask them for their tips and tricks on the movement techniques in this video. Check out the link in the description, and let's go. A super zipline jump can help you reach new spaces and surprise your opponents. This is a particularly strong technique for Pathfinder players who can place a zipline almost anywhere on the map using their ultimate ability. It can be used on any zipline, of course, but that's mostly only for speed and movement. With a super zipline jump, you can potentially reach high spaces, and perhaps an enemy team may be stationed above you. To do the super zip jump, it's fairly simple. While you do not need to bind jump to your scroll wheel, we do recommend it. Lots of later techniques require this binding, and this particular technique is much easier to do it with it bound. That aside, the super zip jump comes down to using the interact key, usually E, and the jump key at the same exact time to get a speed boost and move much further in one direction. Wall bouncing has become a real staple movement amongst top Apex players. From Ace to Fade, almost all the most talented pros use this technique in their standard gameplay. While one of the biggest benefits of the wall jump is it looks really cool and can massively improve the aesthetics of your clips, it does have some practical uses. However, used incorrectly, it can make you a much easier target to hit. But how do you do it? Approach a wall at a 45-degree angle and slide jump into the wall, but move your mouse so you are perpendicular with the wall as you approach it and then jump. It is almost impossible to do this consistently without binding jump to your mouse scroll wheel. Practice makes perfect. Head to the back right corner of the firing range and practice on the long gray wall until you can do it consistently. But what are the applications of wall bouncing in Apex Legends? Wall bouncing can be used to jump off of any vertical surface and can help you clear fences and walls. In certain scenarios, you can even jump over Watson fences. Being honest though, in fights, wall bouncing is mostly used to flex on your opponents. Asserting dominance by hitting the wall bounce 360 no-scope Kraber is very satisfying indeed, but it does have the impact of usually moving you at high speeds over a player's head in an unpredictable way, which usually makes you harder to hit and aim at. Plus, perhaps when they see your sick moves, they'll just leave the game. After all, they'll know you're better. Bunny hopping is an underrated technique that can really help you avoid taking damage and give you unpredictable movement in Apex Legends. Once again, this is much easier with jump on your scroll wheel. B-hopping is really simple in theory, but it requires very specific timing. First, slide jump. Then let go of all movement while keeping crouch held. Then as you touch the ground, jump again. The timing can be a bit tricky to get down, so make sure to keep practicing. You can also add some side-to-side movement, which can make you really hard to hit. Use your left movement key to move left, and then while bunny hopping, use your mouse to do a slow sweeping turn left. After 3 hops, press your right movement key and repeat the same sweeping turn right. If you can keep the timing down, this can go on indefinitely and can make you an impossible target. The bunny hop is fast, and with directional change and your crouched position, all the enemy sees is a small target zipping from side to side. Tap strafing is one of the most publicized movement techniques in Apex. It has many potential implementations, most coming down to being very hard to hit and catching your opponent off guard. Here are a few examples. You're caught in an open field and you have to make it across to the building. By tap strafing in multiple directions, you're quickly moving in different directions and are harder to hit. Or maybe you're in a bubble fight and quickly tap strafe through the bubble and back out. This confuses the enemy and they fail to hit you. And because they're focused on you, your teammates can deal damage to them essentially for free. It can also save you crucial damage. Imagine you're in a sweaty endgame, and you need to leave your position as the final ring is moving in. You see a wall, but a team will be shooting you as you cross and turn the corner. This is where you can tap strafe around that corner, reducing the amount of time that you are visible. This means you take slightly less damage, which can be the difference between life and death. Tap strafing can be used to a deadly impact with octane pads and gravity cannons. With an octane pad, you can reach greater heights in an unpredictable way. Pad one way and suddenly turn back on yourself to reach somewhere else. This could even be used to round a wall or reach the roof of a building from a lower floor. Horizon with her passive also has a much greater movement in the air. Try her out when practicing these techniques. Or on gravity cannons, you can tap strafe out of the path, meaning you can reach buildings or locations that are en route. This can also help you avoid certain death if you see the landing pad is filled with Watson fences, caustic barrels, or there's an enemy team waiting for you to land. Sounds useful, right? So how is it done? I'm sorry to say it, but for this technique, you have to bind jump to your scroll wheel. There is no way around it. Run in a direction and slide jump while holding down A or D, depending on the direction you want to tap strafe. At the peak of your jump, flick the scroll wheel while still holding A or D. Make sure you release the W key while in the air. Move the mouse in the intended direction while continually scrolling the mouse wheel. This will allow you to rotate up to 180 degrees instantaneously. It is worth mentioning that due to its power, Respawn wanted to remove tap strafing from the game. This received a very mixed response. However, the removal has been put on pause while they figure out how to remove it without hurting other movement mechanics in the game. It is likely that tap strafing won't be around forever, so take advantage of this powerful movement mechanic while it's still possible. Super gliding is by far one of the hardest and most advanced techniques in Apex Legends. It gives you a very large speed boost. However, it is very, very hard to get down, and it requires perfect timing. Even professional players do not hit every single super glide. For example, Energy's Sweet super glides, but after he took a small break from Apex to visit home, he had to relearn super gliding to get back to being consistent at it. So, what is it? Simply, as you climb a wall, you hit crouch and jump at the same time while holding a movement direction, and it essentially launches you in that direction. The timing is very hard. You have to hit jump and crouch at almost the exact same moment, about 1 frame apart. Binding both actions to the same key doesn't work. Using C for crouch and spacebar for jump and pressing both keys with your thumb at the same time is a more effective way of getting the timing right. Let me just repeat. This technique is very advanced and you will not hit every super glide 100% of the time. It's much more of a flex than it is practically useful because relying on it in-game is risky. With these movement techniques, you can take your Apex gameplay to the next level. For all these techniques, practice makes perfect and the firing range is your best friend. Until next time, I've been Zephyr, and I'll catch you later for some more Apex Legends content.